The internet is blowing up. Many people are calling for Jesse Waters to be sued, for Fox News to be sued, because this aired about the trans gunman who unalived 2 kids and wounded 17 in Minneapolis. Everybody is talking about what Jesse Waters just did, but he exploded. Benny Johnson and many other commentators on the right called this one of the best monologues and much needed monologues in the history of Fox News, and again, in the history of newscasting, because this has to do with what is happening, the narratives in Christians in America, including Christian kids. And boy, oh boy, buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. Take a listen to this.
So a suicidal transgender who hates Trump's Christians and Jews shoots up kids at a Catholic school, and the media wants to take away your handgun. So how are we supposed to protect ourselves from trans shooters? The media is bad at pattern recognition. We aren't. Just 2 years ago, another trans 20-something walked into a Christian school in Nashville with a rifle and shot 3 kids and 3 adults. They buried the manifesto and locked down the case. We've seen trans shootings in Colorado and in Maryland. They even shot up an ICE facility in Texas. And it seems like half of Antifa's trans. A couple of they-thems just got popped for firebombing Teslas. The mayor of Minneapolis says, you can't say that.
Anybody who is using this as an opportunity to villainize our trans community or any other community out there has lost their sense of common humanity. We should not be operating out of a place of hate for anyone. We should be operating from a place of love for our kids.
I don't hate anyone who thinks they're trans. I feel sorry for them. But statistically, the trans population has been prone to violence. That's not villainizing, that's reality. And if you can't recognize reality, you're in danger. We love the American people, especially American children. And if they're troubled and believe they're somehow a girl trapped in a boy's body, we want to get them help. We don't want to give them hormones and operate on them. Society shouldn't be trying to produce more trans kids. We shouldn't be encouraging an emotional disorder or whatever this is. And doctors should stop profiting from it. Great Britain ended child sex change surgeries.
This video is brought to you guys by Noble Gold. We have a sponsorship. Let's go shout out to them. If you're getting close to retirement or just thinking ahead, you've probably done a solid job of saving. But there is much more that people just don't consider. How much money is just sitting in cash? It might feel safe, but holding on to cash guarantees one thing: you're losing purchasing power. That's why more people are looking at real assets like physical gold and silver to protect their savings. And one company that makes it easy is Noble Gold Investments. You can now buy gold or silver, coins or bars, and have them shipped to your home or stored securely. And they don't actually pressure you. Just solid information and real options. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com. Noblegoldinvestments.com. Go today to noblegoldinvestments.com.
From it. Great Britain ended child sex change surgeries. They said it's barbaric, and they're right. And politicians should stop elevating the trans issue like it's the civil rights struggle of the 21st century. You see it all over Minneapolis.
Minneapolis will continue to be a safe haven for our trans community.
For being a safe haven for transgender individuals.
We have sued them for gender-affirming care. Yes, we are not going to scapegoat our transgender community.
When our children tell us who they are, it is our job as grown-ups to listen and to believe them.
See, I got to interrupt Jesse on here because this is the part that bothers me the most about this whole thing. You could be whoever you want as long as you're a grown adult and you're not pushing that on the children. I'm good on that. I've had gay friends. I've grown up against gay people, with gay people, whatever. It doesn't matter. There's even gay conservatives. That's not my problem, right? That's your lifestyle. That's your choice. But when you start talking like that, that's where we get into dangerous territory. And the sad part about it is that much of mainstream and YouTube and many of these platforms have sided with people like her, where they believe that kids should be able to transition before the age of 18. That's where I draw the line, You can't ever catch me saying I would ever be a part of that. I would ever push for that. I'm good. And that's the problem. This is one of the biggest problems, I believe, and one of the biggest issues. And this is something and why many Hispanics, many people who would never vote for Trump regularly voted for Trump this time. Because of this. Now I'm going to let Jesse keep cooking here, but I just had to stop the video. Like, what are you talking about? When kids tell us who they are, we must listen. Kids? What? To me, that's where you have to draw a line here. Even if you're not a Christian, even if you're not religious, that's ridiculous.
So when your 9-year-old tells you he's a horse, do you let him sleep out in the barn and eat hay? What are we doing here? Just a few years ago, the psychiatric community classified transgenderism as a mental illness. Then doctors went woke and removed it as a condition, and now millions of young Americans are identifying themselves as trans and getting high fives. When someone has an illness, we should treat it instead of affirm it. We don't celebrate schizophrenia. We don't encourage depression. Teenagers are confused. Sometimes these things are just a phase. And if they're not, all right, then a grown man can wear a dress. If he wants to do that in America, he has that right. We're a pretty darn tolerant society. But the left's weaponizing trans kids and turning them into culture warriors. And they've been turned loose against the church, schools, and Trump. You see it, I see it. The trans clan has a militant wing, and it's out for blood. They're taking lives, defiling churches, and freaking everybody out. And some politicians are doing more to protect shooters like Westman than soft targets like schools. In 2023, private schools in Minnesota begged Governor Walz to fund more school safety. They told him it was an urgent and critical need. Minnesota had an $18 billion budget surplus, but the governor didn't do it. Instead, he turned Minnesota into a trans sanctuary. And his attorney general, Keith Ellison, sued Trump so they can keep castrating little boys. Tim Walz failed. Our leaders keep failing us. They failed us during COVID, on trade, on immigration. They say they care about kids, but they locked them down and oversaw an obesity and chronic disease epidemic. And now there's a growing trans epidemic, and they won't even admit it, just like crime. They created a crisis and then lie about it and blame you for not being compassionate. But their fake compassion is getting people killed.
Wow. Wow. I don't know what to say. He laid it out all on the table. He just put it all at risk, by the way, because you know how much people are going to be campaigning against Fox and Jesse Waters because of this monologue. This monologue right here would be considered, unfortunately, I think is a great monologue. I think it addresses a lot of things that, again, the normal people, the people who aren't trying to transition kids, will agree on. Again, even the gay ones, even the trans people who know that what they're doing and what's happening and what they're pushing is just, in my opinion, wrong as far as when it comes to children. And that's what it's coming down to. What do you think about Jesse Waters and what he said? I got one more video I want to share with y'all, man. Got one more video. Again, Newsmax stepping up to the plate here. Christian conservatives, Christian conservatism getting attacked. Is it being attacked? Is it something that we should worry about if you're a Christian?
Christians are now the most prosecuted religion in the country, in this country. Nobody ever talks about it. And yet Christians seem like the happiest despite this. Think about that. These children were targeted because of their faith during the first week of school because they believe in God. And they were cut down when their lives had just begun by someone whose real identity the rest of the media ignored today. But we're not going to do that. We're not going to pretend the identity of the shooter doesn't matter. We're not going to do that. And we are going to name him. We're not going to name the shooter. We're going to name the shooter. And we're going to tell you everything we think is relevant because it does matter. There is a trans violence crisis in this country. And half the country, many of the same people who voted for Kamala Harris just don't seem to care. Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, tweeting today, the FBI is investigating this shooting as an act of domestic terrorism and a hate crime targeting Catholics. The shooter has been identified as Robin Westman, a male born as Robert Westman. The FBI will continue to provide updates on our ongoing investigation with the public as we are able to, meaning that according to the director of the FBI, the shooter was transgender. A trans shooter in a state where Democrats have made it perfectly clear that they support the insanity that this has become, what we now call the trans community in this country.